Hi, Sean Campbell, Chevrolet, GMC, and Bob just wanted to say thank you for a record-setting July here at Koppel. The summer sales event continues in August, and the incentives are crazy good. Check this out. We got 0.9% financing along with a $2,500 trade-in rebate on select new models. You heard right. 0.9% financing has been extended along with a trade-in rebate. Also, our GM-certified used inventory is filling up fast, so make that money-saving drive to Koppel. It's just south of the interstate, or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for fireworks Fridays, souvenir Saturdays, Sunday family fun days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see areas of patchy fog this morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. There's a slight chance of storms later in the day. We'll see a high of around 89. Tonight, we'll see a chance of storms early, then mostly clear skies and a low of around 67. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a slight chance of storms. We'll see a high of around 93. Meteorologist Kyle Cuckman, 90.7 The Ticket, and theticketfm.com.
Gather round. This is the Ticket Water Cooler.
This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Coming to you live, the nerds of Lincoln, America.
I said, hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
On air and online at theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Jake and Enrique Alvarez Clearing.
Happy Thursday to everybody out there. This is the Ticket Water Cooler here on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Falcom, and he is Enrique Alvarez. And together we are the dynamic duo that makes up the Ticket Water Cooler. Happy to be with you every noon to 1, Tuesday through Thursday. And then sometimes on Friday as well. He does that, and I do this. No, I can't do it right at once. Can you ever do that? Yeah, there you go. You got a good one. I was going to try to, when I went to the Philippines, the kids were very impressed with that one.
I can do it without the flicking of the cheek.
Can you? Yeah. What age did you learn this one?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a weird skill people pick up sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you just figure things out, and then you're just like, ah, cool. And then it's just like a party trick that you do from time to time.
You have any other tricks?
No, I do not.
I don't either.
Unfortunately.
I was the other thing that the kids liked that I was doing was like the dance where you switch your knees, you get your hands on your knees, you switch them over. They were really impressed with that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't think of any other tricks. I could kind of throw something behind my back and catch it pretty well. So I was doing that. But that's what I do for children. Tricks are for kids, after all.
Tricks are for kids. I think I just okay. So,
Yes.
So I just saw something on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
First off, have you seen that Iowa is bringing something new and innovative to football?
I did see that.
Der Wiener Schlinger.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're doing something new, that brand new, unprecedented, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, Nebraska's been doing that, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, here's another thing. Iowa women's basketball, for the first time in program history, the University of Iowa women's basketball team will host an outdoor scrimmage at Kinnick Stadium.
There you go.
They will face DePaul in crossover at Kinnick on Sunday, October 15th at 3 p.m. The contest will broadcast on Big Ten Plus and the Hawkeye Radio Network. Proceeds of the event will benefit the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital.
Now, I will have to stand up for Iowa as much as I hate doing it. They did already have a wrestling event at Kinnick. So this is not necessarily as much of a copycat as Der Wienerschlinger, or how do you say it?
Der Wienerschlinger.
Der Wienerschlinger.
Two types of tickets will be sold. I'm just gonna read this for everybody that wants to go.
Event, yeah.
So Iowa's going to host an outdoor women's basketball event against DePaul. It's an exhibition. It doesn't seem like it's going to be. It's just scrimmage. It's not. It's not a regular season thing. It's a scrimmage. Two types of tickets will be sold: $20 rain or shine reserve seat tickets at Kinnick with an option for Carver Hawkeye Arena should inclement weather force the game indoors. It is October, so it might
could happen.
$10 adult, $5 student and youth Kinnick only reserve seat tickets. So you can pay $20 and have a seat at Kinnick or in Carver Hawkeye in case you have to move inside, or you can pay $10 and you have a seat at Kinnick, but if it gets moved inside, you don't have a seat. I think I'd just spend the extra $10.
I would be interested too, because I think that this would this might boost Nebraska's own sales if they needed it, just to compete with Iowa. But obviously, it's already sold out.
Yeah,
for Nebraska Volleyball Day.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah, so I'm still a little bit interested if one of these events, it's a bit windy that day. Volleyball and basketball can be pretty impacted by wind.
I mean, you can play both outside anyways.
Right.
But you're in a football. I think that Kinnick is more open than Memorial is, so the wind won't swirl as bad. But in Memorial, you've heard it from a lot of specialists, a lot of kickers say it's a very swirly environment when the wind starts picking up.
Yeah.
So the wind's just going all over. It's not just going straight across the field any which way. It's going all over the place. So that would be a little trickier if it does get a little windy inside in Lincoln on August 30th.
Either way, it'll be entertaining, and either way, they are exhibitions. So, right? I mean, so you don't have to worry about it too much.
The basketball one is. The volleyball one is a regular season game for Nebraska, at least.
Yeah.
For Kearney and Wayne, it's an exhibition, so that doesn't count towards their record.
Is an exhibition.
But for Nebraska, for the Huskers, and for Omaha, it is a regular season game.
That's right. Yeah. So
it'll be the 5th game on Nebraska's schedule. No power opponents within the first 5 games.
Yeah.
No offense to Omaha.
Well, they're not. But it is, that's definitely something to look forward to. I can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to see the future of what these events are going to be, because Trev Alberts and that athletic department have kind of decided, this is something we want to do year in and year out. And it is just really, again, a great idea. I mean, one of the best ones. When I kind of can sit here and complain about certain decisions among the athletic department at sometimes, but I still just love the red carpet experience and love this type of idea that highlights the fact that the fans here are crazy bananas.
Yeah.
And they will they'll sell out football stadiums for pretty much anything as long as it's close to football season. Not pretty much anything.
Whatever it is, they'll be there.
If you get football vibes going, then they'll show up. I think it highlights the fan base here, and I think that's great. I was thinking about something the other day, and I know there's already an argument. By the way, we have Brian Munson of Husker Online joining us. We'll get a Nebraska recruiting update here in about 10 or 15 minutes. But I was thinking with all the changes in college football, and maybe most importantly in this context, is changing to a 12-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got myself back into the Twitter argument of should there be preseason polls and how much does that affect the college football playoff polls. And as I think about the college football moving into the new era of semi-pro, basically, how long do you think top 25s are going to be there? Because it does not seem to me, that's kind of a traditional college football thing. You might keep it but there for tradition along the way, but it seems to me as you move the goalpost now up to 12, it's less important. And to me, this kind of is a conversation all overall about college football. And you know how I feel. I know you're a little bit more excited about where it's going. I'm a little bit disappointed in the traditions being lost here. I just think there's something special about college football, and the top 25 is kind of part of that, where in most, and especially professional sports, the kind of interesting thing about college sports is outside of, a year, a pop-up in a professional sport, the next year you're expected to do well. College sports, you don't have to win the championship to have a good year. Like, to be very, and especially in college football, half the teams can't win the championship.
Yep.
Just to kick off the
It's
year.
not
I mean,
gonna
that's kind of already built into college football.
Yeah.
And so, what they're doing to switch to, the 12-team playoff and all that, that's changing that and makes it better, I guess, for them. But to me, it kind of made me think about the top 25 overall and its usefulness. And I just kind of love it. Some people don't. They don't think it's necessarily fair, and it's just this hard thing to do of kind of preseason expectations. And then you have this, my favorite part of the top 25 is like week 7 when there's like undefeated North Carolina State or Nebraska that one year. And they're not a top 10 team, but they have to be above the one-loss teams because that's how it happens.
Well, usually they do.
Well, generally they do. And they're not, not always. You kind of have to earn that. But they're going to be ahead of most of the one-loss teams, certainly ahead of the 2-loss teams. And in the NFL, you don't necessarily do that. The Eagles lose week 1. It doesn't really matter. We'll still see them as one of the best teams in the NFL. We'll have to go on a big losing streak for that to change. And so I just kind of wonder kind of what the future of rankings, top 25s, especially when you move to a 12-team playoff. Like, what are we really doing ranking 25? We just kind of need to know the 12.
I think it's 25 is still going to be important. I think it'll still go. My thing is you have multiple top 25. You have the media poll, the coaches poll, the AP poll, and then the only one that actually matters, which you get later on in the season, is the college football playoff top 25 or whatever it is. So when it comes down to that, I guess there's so many different top 25s that it kind of gets hard to determine which one is actually true. Usually you have your top 5-ish teams that everybody kind of agrees upon, but after that it's just a hodgepodge, a mess up of who is where. Usually it's
the AP and coaches,
the AP
to be fair, and then lately it's been the college football playoff.
Yeah, but there's just so many going on. But at the same time, I think it'll continue to go. Even with a 12-team playoff, it's still nice to have, to see who the top 25 teams are, and I think that everybody enjoys that. The teams enjoy it. The people who vote on those enjoy doing that. And even if you're going to have your 12-team playoff, I think it's still important to know who the top 25 teams are, because then you'll look at it and you'll be like, okay, well, this team is currently UCF is undefeated and they're sitting at 20. If they continue to win these games, and then you look at the top 12 and you're like, okay, this team has 1 loss or 2 losses. If they keep falling, is there any chance that this team will be able to jump from 19 up into the top 12? Like, I think that's still going to be a major part of college football. I mean, especially with a 12-team playoff, because with a 14 playoff, with the BCS and the computer rankings, a team hops into the top 25 and they're sitting at 24th. You're not looking that far down to look at like, oh, well, maybe by the end of the season they'll be up in the top 4, they'll be number 2, and they'll be able to play for a national championship. It's usually the top 10, top 15. Those are the only real teams that have a chance of making it to a national championship, unless you get a TCU who comes out of nowhere, or a UCF who hops all the way up into the top, where are they, in the top 8, and goes to a New Year's Six bowl and quote unquote wins a national championship based on one person's voting.
Well, I just think I don't think it would happen right away. Again, I think because of the interest in the keeping up tradition of college football. I just wonder if that it's just kind of an ancillary number, I suppose, when you're going toward a sport that's going to be more focused on championships than just teams that can have a good season by finishing in the top 25. I guess I don't necessarily want that to go away in college football.
I don't think that ever will. It'll
fade. I think the top 25 will fade. There's already the argument of how much usefulness there is to have a preseason top 25.
Well, I always thought a preseason top 25 was ridiculous, because you've always got, Texas is in the top 10 for whatever reason, and Texas A&M is in the top, 19 for another reason. Somebody did like a breakdown of like, this is what a top 25 preseason looks like every year. You have your defending champion. The runner-up is somewhere in the top 3. You have Ohio State. They're like, Texas is between 10 and 12 for whatever reason. A&M is down here. A group of 5 team is always at 23, because you never know with them. Yeah. So it was, and you look, and this person like put that out, I think it was like a couple weeks before the preseason top 25. And then you look at it and you're like, he's pretty close. Like everything was pretty much exactly how he said it was going to turn out. That's what the preseason top 25 is you got your defending champion at 1, the runner up is somewhere in the top 3, and then just the teams that you usually believe should or could be near the top towards the end of the season are going to be in the top 15. And then after that, it's just whoever had a decent season last year and kept a decent amount of their team. Like, that's really all it is.
Augie says preseason polls are worthless, but I love them. That's kind of
It's like the preseason watch list where like usually you have one guy that you're like, yeah, it's probably going to be this guy, but then you just throw other people on there and you're like, they play the position.
But I don't think there's a right way to do it either, because people would say, well, you've got to do it based on how the games go.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, that's true. But remember when Iowa was number 2 for beating Iowa State and Indiana, and we didn't really know that Iowa State and Indiana weren't very good that year. Yep. And so, like, if you do that, that's also, doesn't ultimately make that much sense because there's not enough context. There's not enough
like
going
you said,
on.
When Nebraska got up to 10th and then they played Wisconsin and Ohio State and they barely lose to Wisconsin, they get blown up by Ohio State and you're like, yeah, this isn't a top 10 team.
But that's preseason. That's why you play a season. So if the preseason poll is exactly like the postseason poll, then why would we do it?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Also, I'm kind of interested too, and as college football goes to, again, more of this semi-pro type of setup, it is interesting because pro leagues are built for parity.
Mm-hmm.
College football, it's hard to imagine that would be the case. I mean, the Big Ten and the SEC, what the college football really needs is a commissioner and somebody to say, this is ridiculous. You guys shouldn't be playing all the way across the country. You guys should be playing here. Let's break this up. And actually, if you're going to go full pro league, have it be organized, have it make sense. But at the same time, it will still differentiate from a pro league, as we kind of think of it. Is you're thinking, I don't like college football going semi-pro. And part of it is that it's not going to fix the problem that many see in college football, is that it won't fix parity. You can expand the playoff to 12. You can expand it to 64 like NCAA college basketball does. There's still going to be 3 or 4 teams that can legitimately win the championship. And then those 3 or 4 teams, they're not going to be, it's not the other team. It's not like pro where the bottom teams, well, you get a draft pick or you can use more of your salary cap. No, the same top teams are going to still recruit well. And they're still going to be, these preseason rankings and all that, and have everything that needs to get more money like they do in the SEC and the Big Ten. So it'll be like, what I do kind of like about that is that college football, and this is what I like more about anything, you can argue about college football and its comparisons to basically the rest of sports, which end with a long playoff, and college football is heading toward that. And I don't necessarily like that because I like the differences in college football. And to me, it's always made the regular season feel a little bit more. I know you have different thoughts on that, but I guess what I like about college football is it's different than all these other sports, which kind of have the same regular season building toward the big championship. And I guess at least in that way, and the fact that parity will still no longer exist, college football will still be a little bit different, and as it gets closer to a professional
now,
league.
Different doesn't always mean good, but I kind of agree with you. But at the same time, I like the parity in all of the other sports. I like the longer playoffs because at any given point, anybody can be beaten at some point during these playoffs. But when you look at that and you look at March Madness, and everybody loves the parity with the 64, 68 teams that are in March
we
Madness.
Got parity last year. I don't know.
That's what I'm going to. Everybody loves it, and they're like, they love the big upsets, but they love the big upsets when the team that upset, when the 15 seed that beat the 2 loses in the next round. They don't want that 15 seed to make it to the Final Four, because when that happens, everybody's like, okay, well, I don't actually want this. I want a 1 seed here. I want a 3 seed. Like I want one of those bigger teams. So everybody loves parity until it gets down to those championship games, and then you're like, well, I didn't actually want to see
San Diego
State play for a national championship. What is going on here? Like it's unfortunate, and I enjoy it. I like watching those smaller schools actually realistically have a chance to win a national championship. I think that's awesome for not only the schools, but for the sport, just to show that, like, look, anybody has a chance to win this. Whereas in college football right now, like you said, it's like the same top 3. It's the same 3, the same 5 schools every single year. And yeah, you'll have a chance to beat them on any given Saturday. But at the same time, I don't think anybody's realistically going to choose TCU to beat Georgia ever.
Yeah, not after the way that game looked last year. That was quite a. But either way, TCU making it to the championship game, that was.
And even then, they're a Power 5. It's not like they're a group of 5 schools. Like nobody was going to pick Cincinnati. If Cincinnati would have made it to the national championship, they're not going to pick Cincinnati over Alabama or Cincinnati over Georgia or anything like that.
Yeah, even though TCU is a Power 5, that hurt the group of 5 chances. I think
they're like, see, we should let them in, and they're like, no, this is actually they're one of the ones you want.
It's like, they used to be a group of 5, so we're not going to change.
Yeah, whatever. You're still Mountain West to me.
All right, let's take a quick break. By the way, when TCU was in the Mountain West, that was
a great Mountain West.
Conference.
Oh,
Like Boise State and Utah back there. All right, let's take a quick break here on 93.7 The Ticket on the Ticket Water Cooler. We'll be back with Brian Munson for a Husker recruiting update here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Day by Day is the new documentary about Tom Osborne and the Nebraska Huskers' decades-long pursuit of a national championship, featuring interviews with former players and coaches, as well as famous fans like Peyton and Arch Manning, Larry the Cable Guy, and numerous NCAA and NFL legends. Day by Day is the riveting, untold story of one of the most dominant, celebrated, and controversial football teams ever. Opening in theaters on August 11th, visit daybydaymovie.com for details. The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. Do you have to meet? Like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you will share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Bob just wanted to say thank you for a record-setting July here at Koppel. The summer sales event continues in August, and the incentives are crazy good. Check this out. We got 0.9% financing along with a $2,500 trade-in rebate and select new models. You heard Plankton financing had been extended along with a trade rebate. Also, our GM certified used inventory is filling up fast. So make that money-saving drive to Koppel. It's just south of the interstate. Or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with roof credit.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage, 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the local area, which includes the tri-state area in Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota. H&H Roofing has a professional team that are licensed and bonded, GAF Master Certified Installers, and an insurance-preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to hroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox. KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see areas of patchy fog this morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. There's a slight chance of some later in the day. We'll see a high of around 89. Tonight, we get chances from early, then mostly clear skies and a low of around 67. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a slight chance of some. A high of around 93. Meteorologist Kyle Putnam at theticketfm.com.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Help navigating the application or appeals process. Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Warning, this ad will use the F word often, so listen at your own risk. Family fun, fun with friends, freedom from fuel, free Yeti cooler, free driveway delivery. Hey, this is Carl from Nebraska Golf Carts and Priced Right Auto, and we have the all-electric Bentelli Fun Cars, and they are a blast. Plenty of fun colors, and these street legal cars come in both 4 and 6 passenger. Tell us you heard us on the ticket and get a Yeti cooler with your purchase. Hurry, supply is limited. Check them out at 1235 West O in Lincoln or NebraskaGolfCarts.com.
You finally finished your man cave basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
Hey, moms and bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for fireworks Fridays, souvenir Saturdays, Sunday family fun days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us. It is time for our weekly recruiting update with Brian Munson of Husker Online. And it has been a few weeks since we've been able to reach out to Brian. So we've got a lot to catch up on here.
Hi, Brian.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're doing great, Brian. So, who's Nebraska getting?
You know, I tell you what, for all the Nebraska fans out there listening to us right now, I'm sure that they all want to know who the next guy is. It'll be a month later this weekend since Nebraska received they got their last commitment. So, I mean, probably before in the past, we would go on dry spells of, well more than a month. But for Matt Rule and his staff, things have certainly, kind of peaked and definitely have been downhill since that middle of July. But very good question, however, sir, about who some of the next names are that potentially could be considered Nebraska. So if you want to get into that, let's get into that.
Well, they got 18 guys or whatever it was in June.
Yeah,
so.
we had a nice run. Well, they had a nice run of a guy every other day. So
Yeah.
this is too long. I don't like it.
Which is interesting too, because you wonder about the class size in totality. How much more room do you think they have?
Well, I listened to some things that Matt Rule had said during Big Ten media days, and I'm not sure that honestly that number really exists anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they have a basis for it. I think that they understand, who are the players that will not have any more eligibility after that season. I think that they have, some ideas about who may choose not to return. I think they have some ideas of who they would talk to about, telling them that it's a better idea for them to go pursue other places for them to go play football, and I think you can get to a rough number. But I mean, even when you get to a rough number, take for example where Nebraska sits right now, 24 exceeds any number that I think we talked about, leading up to this season and this recruiting class. I wanted to say maybe we were talking high teens, maybe you might hit 20. Here you are, 20% over that. You still have other players that are out there that are still, being dangled in front of you a little bit. And I think that this kind of cuts into what, Matt Rule was talking about. I think that, for the management of the 85 scholarship limit is really going to be something fascinating to watch over the next coming years, because I think Nebraska fans have oftentimes pointed out that, you have a third year, sophomore, a redshirt sophomore, or a fourth year redshirt junior that's just been, hasn't participated, has not been a factor much in his career at Nebraska. I think those days are gone. I really feel like those days are over with, that the 85 has got to be a very active group and participating in the game plan week to week to week. And if you're not, you're probably hurt, or you're one of those guys that's going to have a conversation with Coach Rule, or the rest of the coaching staff later on in the season about trying to figure out, what your next steps are. But I really feel like that's going to be the biggest change kind of looking forward, guys. And I think that's where how this class got to 24. I think it's how, the NCAA basically has lifted the restriction of 25 new players per calendar year. That's all gone. I think the days of medical retiring, processing, et cetera, are, and just management of the 85 are here. It's going to be really fascinating to watch, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of great detail about it either. Some guys just kind of casually came off the roster, in the last couple of weeks, if people were paying attention to that. So it's certainly going to be something to watch, and it's going to be interesting for guys like that to kind of manage that internally.
We've got a few. I got a few questions for you, just kind of catch up because we weren't talking. Brennan Baker, how legitimate a shot does Nebraska have? I know they've got him coming in on a visit.
I think he's got a couple of teams in front. I think it's like Oregon and Georgia and USC's probably on the outside looking in. I think that they would tell you that they had as good a shot as any, but I never really have felt like that he was much of a really into the Trojans as much. Look, it's a great sign that Nebraska's got him coming back. This is his third visit. He visited for the big junior day in March. He visited again for the spring game. He really likes Matt Rule and his staff. I think that this is one of the players that I think we can kind of go back and circle and say, had Matt Rule, been there, or had Nebraska had a bit of a better, record the last couple of seasons that was kind of showing that improvement, showing that they were kind of moving in the right direction, or that you didn't have this kind of change, in the coaching staff to where, how things were going to kind of look on the football field were such a question mark. Brandon Baker might be the guy that you would want to circle, the biggest and the boldest, 3 or 4 times and underline him twice, because I really feel like he has connected with Nebraska. I feel like he's connected with the staff. He's connected with the area. I think he likes Coach Raiola. He definitely likes Coach Rule. I think he likes how things are run out there. And that's by, him taking a number of visits. And I think Nebraska has stood up well to all of them, whether it's to Eugene or to Athens or Tuscaloosa or all the other places that he has visited. Nebraska has stood up well, but I think it's a stretch. I think it's absolutely a stretch to feel like Nebraska can end up getting him in the class. I just feel like that's a situation there where NIL and the people that are kind of competing against Nebraska, I think Nebraska is very competitive in the NIL space. I think, however, some of the numbers that are kind of being thrown around for Baker are massive. And that's going to be one of those things there where it's like, I think if you took comparisons to like what Michigan and Nebraska are doing, Nebraska's got better compensation or better things for incoming freshmen than a team like or a school like Michigan does. However, across the board, comparing to Oregon or a Tennessee or somebody else like that, I think Nebraska is still a little ways behind. But I think that some of the numbers are pretty huge for Brandon Baker. It's going to be interesting to watch. I think it's still going to be interesting to see if he does come in for that visit. But if he comes in, it's not going to be too surprising if he has a lot of positive things to say about what's going on in Lincoln again.
We're speaking with Brian Munson of Husker Online. And Brian, this one's kind of more of a broad question, not really Nebraska specific, but have you heard or what have you been hearing from the recruits that Nebraska has been going after about this new conference realignment and the additions of Oregon and Washington? And has that, changed the minds of any of these recruits maybe on the West Coast, especially with USC, UCLA coming in also in 2024? Anybody that's kind of looking at one of those 4 schools or all 4 of those schools and Nebraska, has that changed their minds or what are they saying about that?
Actually on that front, things have been kind of quiet. I think it's been how the Pac-12 has disintegrated has been kind of fascinating and unrealistic to watch. It's just been, it's now down to the Pac-4 or whatever, and it's been one of those things that's like, I think people are still trying to get their arms around it. But I think in the case of like a Baker, who has got some, schools that he is listening to in USC and Oregon there on the West Coast, and obviously Nebraska and the Big Ten and how things kind of come together. And I have not had a chance to talk to him about this yet. It would be a fascinating question to kind of get him on the phone about. I know that a lot of these guys have dropped off the face of the earth just because of the opening of their own fall camps. And that's not just guys that are national guys. That's guys that are local regional guys. So it's a little difficult to kind of get comment on from some of these guys. But I think Nebraska overall is going to have a much better reach, because think about some of the complaints that the Pac-12 fans and schools have had, with their games starting, at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock Central, it's very difficult, I think, even for like the voters to be part of that, to really watch those schools intently and figure out how to vote on those games and on those schools, later on in the weekend, how to kind of come up with the polls. But I think what this does now is it kind of flattens out the time zone. It kind of allows then for the Big Ten to kind of pull those schools up and say, look, we're going to give you a better national picture than what you had before. And you're going to be more in the conversation than what you ever were, because you were relegated to those really late time zones unless you had those marquee matchups. And now all of a sudden you're going to have some of those still later matchups that are out of conference, maybe potentially, or maybe like a Nebraska visits you guys, and it's going to be a little bit later in the game to kind of fit in more with the time zone locally. But realistically, across that Big Ten, it's going to help out. And I think also like by piping in the Big Ten network into that area now, it kind of opens up these things, because they've never had a need to flip on the Big Ten network. Now all of a sudden they have to figure out where Northwestern is, and where where all these other schools are, which markets, of course, that they're carrying. So I think it's going to not necessarily have as big of an impact in the 2024 group, because this class is so close to completing. You maybe have, maybe the couple of the Polynesian players there in Utah that might be visiting later on, or a Davu Tuataga, the defensive end, that's out of Utah as well, that could potentially still see some impact, a little bit of benefit for it. I think the biggest benefit is going to start picking up on that 2025 cycle, where you can kind of incorporate that now in your sales pitch to those players on the West Coast.
He's Brian Munson of Husker Online, joining us on the Owl of Fiber VIP line. And we mentioned a little bit earlier, a little bit of a dry spell after basically a record month in June.
Right.
Missing out on Nate Frazier and Gatlin Bear. I don't know how close Nebraska was on those guys, but I know that people were in tune to those. What are some of the kind of the names that Nebraska recruiting fans should be looking at here in the next couple of weeks as kind of the big names still on the board?
Yeah, I mean, we've already hit on Baker, and Gatlin Bears is a loss. I mean, it's one of those players, again, I think that if Nebraska had a little bit more of a track record, to they're a little more attracted to. But I always felt like Boise State was the team to beat with him. I just never felt like he was really going to get all that far away from home, despite all the great programs that, of course, kind of threw their hat in the ring, for him to basically consider. But there are some other guys here that we should be talking about. We should be thinking about. One of those guys is Ja'Shawn Ross. Ja'Shawn Ross is a edge linebacker, kind of a maybe even a defensive end. He's going to play. I talked to his coach yesterday. He's going to kind of move between that stand-up outside linebacker to a guy that puts his hand in the dirt and plays defensive end for Liberty North. He is the current high school teammate of Nebraska commitment Keelan Smith. 6'3.5", 6'4", 230-pound guy. Nebraska needs an edge rusher. They definitely need a guy that's going to be able to get some pressure off the edge. There's definitely a vacancy in the class for a guy like that. If you're drawing up, basically the class, I think that you would say that you're missing an edge guy, and I think you're missing an offensive tackle, which brings me to the other guy, Grant Bricks out of Logan, Iowa. And Grant Bricks actually told me earlier this week that he could be within 2 weeks now, basically making a commitment. And I think that that's down to Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kansas State. I think the Huskers are in a really good spot for him. I think Nebraska's in a really good spot for Ja'Shawn Ross. I think Ross could extend out a little bit more. Ross has never taken an official visit to Nebraska. He's only taken an official visit to OU, in fact. And OU is out of it with him. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he kind of goes into the month of September, because the first 3-4 weeks, 3-4 games for these seniors, they're critical. They can really reopen things up when it comes to, getting schools to kind of get in there and start showing some more interest. That's really kind of that mark. So I would watch very closely about where and when he decides to go ahead and visit. And if he decides to get back to Nebraska, Ja'Shawn Ross has already visited Nebraska 3 times. And there's a couple more guys that it's going to be very interesting to see kind of like how Nebraska treats them kind of moving forward. You have Nuku Mafi and Sumisi Tonga. Both guys are out of West High School in Salt Lake City, Utah. They both play for Tanio Finoti out there, former Nebraska great offensive lineman. Both guys did not really announce an official offer for Nebraska over their social media, which obviously was something that caught my eye. So I don't know necessarily if they are still guys that we could expect to see in September or not, but I think you're talking about Baker, you're talking about Jayshon Ross as two guys that should probably take official visits to Nebraska, early either in September or October. And I think you got Grant Bricks that's potentially getting close to a decision here in the coming weeks. Oh, and also Caleb Benning. I don't want to gloss that one over, and I feel bad for doing that. Caleb Benning's another guy to watch. I think that realistically, the first 3 or 4 weeks for him are critical. I really do. I think, he has taken some late visits here in July to Nebraska and Kansas State. I think that everybody's kind of just wanting to see where things are at. Obviously, he's been still kind of dealing with and dinged up with that collarbone. Had a surgery, I think, in February, but that goes back to his season last year and the injury very early in the season, I think in September. So Caleb Benning is still a guy to keep an eye on because that's a guy I think that could play on either side of the football, at the next level, either as a defensive back or a wide receiver.
And of course, he's part of the big in-state class this year. Nebraska's doing a great job on. What is the next class, 2025, the in-state class look like for Nebraska, and where are they kind of some of those prospects?
Great question, because I think Nebraska could be really getting close to throwing down another in-state offer. So you had that barbecue at the end of the season, the end of the summer, that last Sunday in the month of July. And, you had Caden Vermas and you had Tyson Terry there that sold to 2025 commitments in the class, that were there. Then you had Christian Jones, and Christian Jones has had an offer from Nebraska for a while now, 4-star linebacker. Huskers see him, working at that second level, either inside or outside, kind of a guy that can maybe move between. It's going to be interesting to see kind of where his body goes. But there's only 3 offers out for 2025 players. And what was really interesting about that last event, the barbecue in Lincoln, there was one 2025 in-state player that was there in Lincoln that had not been offered by Nebraska yet. Just one. And it definitely was something that caught my eye, and it should definitely be a name that I think that everybody should start looking for a little bit. His name's Calvin Jansen. He is an offensive lineman from Gretna. Basically, he was the tackle opposite Mason Goldman last year, so he was playing on the right side. He's a 6'4", 280-pound guy. He's up about 20 pounds from his sophomore year. And he'll be sliding back to left tackle this year, but Nebraska sees him potentially playing inside. Had a chance to meet him and his dad this last February when we were doing our in-state tour. Dad's a big guy, former collegiate athlete himself, was a pitcher at Northwest Missouri State. And, it's probably at least a little bit of a positive looking at his dad and looking at Calvin and saying he could still continue to grow a little bit. So, very interesting guy, a very aggressive guy. Love his film. Just did an article on him last night and kind of teased it that maybe he could be your next offer. I would pay very close attention to him.
Always great stuff and very informative. New names to look out for. Thank you once again, Brian Munson of Husker Online. And we've only got a few more weeks till football season, so we're almost there.
Bring it on, and bring on the cooler temperatures, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you. There he goes, Brian Munson of Husker Online, once again joining us on the Allo Fiber VIP line. Thanks once again to Brian. All right, let's take a quick break here on the Ticket Water Cooler, and we'll wrap things up. We'll invite Nick back in the studio for the crossover.
Yeah, he was mad last time.
He was a little upset we didn't do that last time, so we better make it up to him. We'll do that next for the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction material. Sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-476.
Lane's Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blend, geography, and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Haviland. This week's specials through August 15th are $2 off packaged grass-fed, grass-finished New York strip with limit of 2 per visit. And don't forget to check out their Friday feast this week and every week. Plus, big news, they have 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to Mercado today for the best meat in town.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. There are standards you have to meet. Moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery line. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. To our world of yum.
At the hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional park, warm staff, and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
There's a buzz in the air at Kansas. Maybe it's the roar of fans here at the track, or the anticipation of the playoffs as drivers fight to move on to the next round and keep their championship hopes alive. Maybe it's the pulse of the heartland, the thrill of speed, or the sounds of grills sizzling in the campgrounds. Whatever it is, it will be one memorable weekend. NASCAR Playoffs Weekend at Kansas Speedway, September 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets today at kansasspeedway.com.
Warning, this app will use the F word often, so listen at your own risk. Family fun, fun with friends, freedom from fuel, free Yeti cooler, free driveway delivery. Hey, this is Carl from Nebraska Golf Carts and Priced Right Auto, and we have the all-electric Bentelli Fun Cars, and they are a blast. Plenty of fun colors, and these street-legal cars come in both 4 and 6 passenger. Tell your herders on ticket and get a free Yeti cooler with your purchase. Free, so limited. Check them out at 1235 West O in Lincoln or NebraskaGolfCarts.com.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and visit Haymarket Park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Fun Days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discount. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Vershawn Jackson for Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to brantexcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go!
In or looking to get into the construction industry. The electrical workers of local union 5 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident in your vehicle as quickly as possible, about you and your family and recovery standards. We handle your claim from start to finish. Provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Spot just south of 88th and Highway 2.
That's who we are. 3-7 the ticket. Fox. KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
In Lincoln, for today, we'll see areas of patchy fog this partly sunny skies. There's a slight chance of some later around 89. It's from early, then mostly clear skies, no low of around 67. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a slight chance of the high around 90. Meteorologist Kyle 7 the ticket and the ticket FM.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket, and we're ready for the crossover with Nick Sainer jumping in the studio. Of course, freshly after golfing yesterday, so I'm sure that was a fun event, and hopefully his golf score was not too bad. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that DP was talking about yesterday with you guys, but first, I want to mention this is kind of interesting. So Fox apparently has pitched in some extra money for Oregon and Washington to come to the conference. Apparently, without that additional money from Fox, Big Ten was unlikely to add the schools from the Pac-12 because obviously the programs did not want to take a distribution reduction. So good news for Nebraska. Fox is like, yeah, sure, bring them in. We'll put more money on the table.
Okay, all right, sign me up for more money.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd have
Nebraska
a problem.
doesn't get any more money out of it, but
I don't think I'd have a problem.
long term they will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's okay. Oregon, Washington. What else were you gonna do? Stay in the Pac-12? What were you gonna do? Join the ACC, which apparently is a very real thing for Cal and Stanford.
I was gonna say, I guess the ACC. I mean, if the ACC adds Cal and Stanford, what does that do for them? It expands their geographical footprint, but other than that,
gives them a few academic institutions.
Maybe, but how much more value does that add for like an ESPN?
A few different time slots, but
maybe.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, you opened up an 8 p.m. time slot probably, but that was never really that good of a time slot to begin with, which is why the Pac-12 didn't have a lot of eyeballs drawn on them to be.
Well, and the East Coast, I mean, those teams are going to stay up that late.
And that's the thing is we have a tough time staying up in the Midwest for a game that's in the third quarter at 11 p.m. You think somebody at midnight or 12:30 is going to want to stay up for a game? Like,
You think somebody
I don't
is going to stay up until 1 o'clock to watch their team
That's what's crazy.
play Cal?
It's going to be Boston College, who is atrocious, is going to have a late night road trip over to Stanford. They're going to play, in California, and the game won't get over till 1:30 in the morning.
Sign me up for Miami Stanford though.
You like Miami Stanford?
It makes absolutely because it makes absolutely no sense.
That's how this whole entire thing's going to be. Like,
although Duke Stanford is a best.
Who is going to be your favorite from a viewing standpoint? Take all realistic ideas away and out of it. Who's going to be like your favorite opponent for Nebraska to play in the new Big Ten?
Washington.
Can we just agree that it's like nobody that's in the Big Ten right now?
Yes.
Well, you've already played them.
But I'm saying it can still be
like even
Michigan. For Michigan, it's always going to be Ohio State. For Penn State, it's not like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can't wait till Penn State plays Oregon. Like that's not the case for me. I think like Nebraska.
I can't wait for USC or UCLA to experience a whiteout at Penn State though.
Yeah. I mean, the Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State crossovers with USC and Oregon and Washington, UCLA even. That's all going to be really nice.
Michigan, but I'm saying, okay, yes, but like Michigan and USC, although it's going to be probably a really good game.
It's a helmet game.
Yeah, like it looks so strange.
That doesn't look too strange because of the Rose Bowl.
USC and Notre Dame go at it every year, so it's not like it's very different for them.
I love Michigan, Notre Dame also.
Yeah, that's a great
Michigan,
maybe Notre Dame should join the Big Ten.
Yeah.
100%. And honestly, Notre Dame probably becomes one of my favorites if that Nebraska plays.
Oh, yeah. If Notre Dame ever joined.
Nebraska, Notre Dame would be such a fun game.
I don't know why, but I'm just a big fan of. I said Washington earlier. I meant Oregon. I'm a big fan of Nebraska, Oregon. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to potentially making the trip out to Autzen at some point.
Yeah. Husky Stadium is going to be beautiful, too. I mean, I love both those additions. I think USC is obviously the best program. So obviously, like the biggest one to me is USC Ohio State. For those two to be in the same conference, those are two of the top 5 programs all time, two of the top 5 programs now. So I think that's going to be fascinating. I also go back to when Nebraska joined the Big Ten, and people make fun of the legends and leaders, but under that, Nebraska was going to play Michigan and Penn State every year because Penn State was a permanent crossover. Throwing Michigan State, Iowa, those teams in as well.
Can we bring permanent crossovers back? Because I was really excited for that Nebraska Penn State permanent crossover.
Yeah, it got pretty weird pretty quick, but
yeah, things kind of went to poop for Penn State like right away.
Yeah,
Pat Smith.
Yeah, Pat Smith did it a game winner back
Pat
then.
Smith had a nice little game against Penn State on the road in Happy Valley one year. What was that? Would that have been like way back in 2013?
Yeah, either that or 2014, I think, because Kenny Bell had like a huge kick return touchdown.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
start that half.
That's crazy.
Yeah, good times.
I was down in Kansas City at that time for getting ready for a San Diego Chargers versus a Kansas City Chiefs football game. I was watching that game in a Cabela's.
What were you, like 4?
Or a Bass Pro Shops. No, I would have been 12.
San Diego Chargers, also a good throwback.
San Diego Chargers. That was back
Qualcomm Stadium,
that was
baby.
back in the Matt Castle days and
Not a good
Dexter
throwback.
McCluster and Dwayne
There you
Bowe.
go, yeah.
Dwayne Bowe.
That was a good Kansas City. Well, it
No,
wasn't
was
good.
not.
That was a
It was
fun
not
Kansas
good.
City Chiefs era.
Yeah, Philip Rivers is still the quarterback, obviously, for
He was with the Jets by then.
Would have been probably close to that. I don't know if he was
Antonio
ever-
Gates was still playing.
Oh, nice.
Antonio Gates. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Oh,
You said Phillip Rivers
Danny
already.
Woodhead. Chargers.
Yeah,
at
that was
that time.
before he went to the Patriots.
Yep. So that was. I have big Chargers fans in my family, and so for like a span of 4 years, we would go down to the Chargers Chiefs every year.
Is it
that year was our last year though because it was in November, I want to believe,
Mhm.
and man, it was cold.
Your Chargers friends are
We're still Chargers
yeah,
fans. Yeah.
so it wasn't San Diego necessarily.
No. We had family. I have family in San Diego, which is why they gravitated
Why they
towards
like
the
Speaking of
Chargers.
speaking of San Diego, are we sad that Nebraska is no longer the San Diego of the Big Ten? Because now there's like an actual San Diego.
I don't think anybody outside of Nebraska knew that or like thought that. It's
Nebraska had out of all the Big Ten places, Nebraska, which is weird to say, the best weather.
I don't know. Again, I'm not sure how many people
Well, you
really
telling me
knew
you
that.
got it.
I'm glad Tim Miles said that. It was kind
What
of
are you
funny.
doing?
But I'm not sure if I'm not sad about that, no, because it
I
didn't make our weather any better. Our weather was still piss poor.
Everybody was like, man, I can't wait to go to Nebraska in November.
Yeah, it'll be so nice.
It'll be great. It'll only be -10 instead of -35 if we go to Michigan State.
Let me ask you guys this. And I'll ask you guys. I mean, we'll talk about this a lot, even coming throughout the season. But I just thought it was kind of interesting because DP, as a former coach, he often talks about it and did this last year. That you can't have a 6-6 expectation. You gotta aim for higher than that. And I thought it was interesting because Sam McEwen, because I'm thinking 6-6 is a great success. Sam McEwen comes on, kind of says the same thing there. And I understand it's kind of a difference between coaching and journalists and all that, but I mean, this place would be rocking at 6-6. Don't you think?
I think I kind of agree that shouldn't be your expectation or your end goal, obviously, but to kind of have that as a jumping off point for how the previous few years have gone, I don't think is that bad. And I understand from a coaching perspective, you never want to sit there and say, all right, our goal is to win 6 games. I think your goal is to win 6 games in your first 6 games, but to have that at the end of the season and just keep piling on, like, look, we just need to make a bowl game and that's a successful season. I kind of agree that shouldn't be the expectation or the end goal.
I don't know if the place will be rocking at 6. I think
we're starving for a bowl game. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, starting for a bowl game. I agree with it. I don't know if
the city would have more life than it has had.
Yeah. So guys, I mean, okay, here's an example, and this is tying in the Big Red Brunch yesterday. The guy told me on the second hole that we were playing, and this is like, I know they're not listening, so I can say this.
Wow.
Aren't they listening?
I know they aren't because they whatever.
Okay.
Either way, he told yeah, we don't watch Husker football games anymore. Just straight up, they were like, yeah, we don't care. Like my family, like we just stopped caring. And he said he was born in the late 80s. And he was like, I just don't have an interest. Like they lost everything to me. And he goes, I'll look up the score on ESPN, and that's it.
Well, that's why they're not.
And I'm just like, yeah. So I'm like, dang. I said, or he goes, I said something along the lines of like, yeah, I remember like when Lincoln would be not shut down, but it would feel like the world was ending if they lost a game.
Oh yeah,
right. And that wasn't even the 90s because I wasn't here. But like. I remember when it was like, dang, my day's now somewhat ruined because Nebraska lost or didn't play well. And now it's like another Saturday.
Now it's just like, oh, well, that happened. I guess I'll watch more college football or something.
You do forget about it pretty
How
quick.
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a father.
That's true.
The kids like going to the park.
Yeah,
We have a
I
park
just
pretty close
says-
by.
I don't know. Like I feel like if Nebraska ends up at 6-6 or somewhat, you're gonna look back and go, "Dang! If only Nebraska could have gotten this game, or if only Nebraska could have gotten this game. What does it look like if Nebraska beats Minnesota to start the season?" Right? I think you're always playing that what if scenario when you're around 6-6 or you're around 5-7 or 7-5. And you're always going to say, man, there's a lot of missed opportunities that were left out on the field. Now,
Yeah.
granted, you're going to a bowl game, so you're happy because that's something you haven't done since Mike Riley was here. But I think also part of it's like, yeah, this isn't, the conversation and the thought is going to be, well, look what Matt Rule did in his first year. He didn't do this anywhere else.
Yeah.
Imagine what year 3 are going to look like.
That's what I'm saying. I
That's
think it'd
what
be a good jumping off point, a good starting
Yeah.
point to have six wins. But
What?
that's not where you want to be.
I just want to remind people. I feel like if he wins 8, he very well could be. If he wins 9, he will be the Big Ten Coach of the
100%.
Year.
Yeah.
So if he's 9 and you expect the Big Ten Coach of the Year, okay. I mean, you should keep your expectations high, but
Yeah.
that's just a lot for me. But we'll see, and hopefully it all goes well. We never know with college football.
Let's just hope they don't start 0-6.
There we go.
Please don't.
Minutes.
Oh man, we are going to be unbearable
Oh, yeah.
if they beat Minnesota.
All right, happy hour coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson, they'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Day by Day is the new documentary about Tom Osborne and the Nebraska Cornhuskers' decades-long pursuit of a national championship. Featuring interviews with former players and coaches, as well as famous fans like Peyton and Archie Manning, Larry the Cable Guy, and numerous NCAA and NFL legends, Day by Day is the riveting, untold story of one of the most dominant, celebrated, and controversial football teams ever. Opening in theaters on August 11th, visit daybydaymovie.com for details.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Warning, this ad will use the F word often, so listen at your own risk. Family fun, fun with friends, freedom from fuel, free Yeti cooler, free driveway delivery. Hey, this is Carl from Nebraska Golf Carts and Price Right Auto, and we have the all-electric Bentelli Fun Carts, and they are a blast. Plenty of fun colors, and these street legal carts come in both 4 and 6 passenger. Tell us you heard us on the ticket and get a free Yeti cooler with your purchase. Hurry, supply is limited. Check them out at 1235 West O in Lincoln or NebraskaGolfCarts.com.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
Harvest will be here before we know it, which means it's time to get those combines ready. Landmark Implement invites you to join them at your local combine clinic. They'll be covering S-Series combines August 7th in Hebron, 8th in Gothenburg, 9th in Hastings, or 10th in Kearney, and the new X9 model, the 11th in Kearney. When you attend one of Landmark's combine clinics, you'll learn about maintenance, cab controls and calibrations, combine technology, and how Operations Center can help increase your farm profits. Visit landmarkimp.com/events for a complete combine clinic schedule, or visit your local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the local area, which includes the tri-state area in Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota. H&H Roofing has a professional team that are licensed and bonded, GAF Master Certified installers, and an insurance preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to HandHroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs